turned it up.
Video if you are.
Of course. Sorry, I don't know. Oh, is it my?
Oh, it's fine.
Yes, yes. Sorry, we haven't done it. So now we have.
So to speak there.
Close back. So we are arriving to the last phase of this day, introduction of theatre of the oppressed. So briefly, I give you some keywords that we touched this morning, and that they are related to my future work with territories where Jana Sanskriti is working. And these three keywords are multivocality, so the coexistence of different perspectives, and diversity in unity. So diversity is another keyword, and also traditional art performances, which are related to a critical indigenous approach to participatory action research methods. So there is another one that is legislative theatre, so how to include non-human beings and the right of this personhood in the tragical performances, sort to reach a more complex understanding of socioecological system dynamics and how to pursue socio-ecological transformation, socio-ecological justice. And on these questions, very complex questions, I give the floor to Sanjoy to enlighten us. Thank you.
Well, since we have time and we have been working since the morning, so let us consider it as a continuity to what we started in the morning. I hope you can hear me. Yeah? If I am not audible, just tell me, because I have to speak in front of this microphone. So I am restricted. I cannot go here and there. Well, so I told you briefly. I am telling you, art is a social metaphor we discussed, right? And my concern is that art is a social metaphor which we practice today. Since this 4 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours practice, you have surely realized that art can appear as a social metaphor. It's basically a social metaphor. And in case of qualitative, to get some qualitative impact, to understand the qualitative impact of theatre on the people, can be understood following those games being played, like we played the sculpture exercise just half an hour before. So, you know as researchers how we can use these tools, as particularly forum theatre, this interactive session, so you can get to know how people are thinking under which circumstances. Now, this idea of using theatre to offer an intellectual space to the people was not perceived by us only the modern, postmodern thinkers. My point is, it was already perceived 1,000 years before, 1,000 years before. So we cannot just abandon our traditions in the name of practicing modernity. Because what is modern is very traditional, what is traditional is very modern sometimes. So you can see, when we went to Greece, I am just giving you a simple example. We went to the Greece and we were asked to see the performing space where the performances takes place. It was a city called Epidaurus. So in Epidaurus, when we went, we were deeply surprised to see a theatre that can accommodate 15,000 people. So perhaps many of us cannot imagine a theatre having capacity of 15,000 people. So, and that Epidaurus theatre was excavated by the German archaeologist in the late 19th century. But the theatre is, so let's say 4,500 years old, because Sophocles, Euripides, they used to perform in that space. So when we asked Greek, scholars, I said, tell me about more of this theatre. And they said, yes, there were city-states in Greece, and approximate population of the adults were 15,000. So there were 15,000 people in that city. So every individual was expected to see the theatre. That is my point. If you see our Natyashastra in India, Bharat's Natyashastra, it was written also, a conservative estimate is 3,000 years before, where he not only explained the need for a theatre, need for art to be considered as a basic need, he also gave us both a lot of practical instruction, the dramaturgy, like the aesthetic juice I was talking about. We have sorrow, we have eros, we have wonder, we have anger, we get surprised. So all this actually, when you are cultivating in theatre, you are actually cultivating the aesthetic juice. You are drinking the aesthetic juice, kind of. So it's not always something to be seen, but it's also something to feel. I will come to this later on from my experience. So what I want to say, that we are now thinking about theatre in education, drama in education, and we consider them as very modern, but actually it was not so modern because it was perceived by our ancestors thousands and thousands of years before. So therefore we must have an objective look towards our tradition, towards our past. So we have made it a culture really. And that is my first point, that I think today theatre is a basic need. And why theatre is a basic need? I explained in the morning, theatre is social metaphor. Any art is social metaphor. Even the games are social metaphor. Games we are playing, exercises we are playing in theatre are social metaphor. So in this connection, you can see we are talking about participatory theatre. That means there is participation must be ensured. So in participation, if the facilitator in our theatre, Augusto Boal's theatre, my teacher, and his theatre, participation, it's participatory, and Joker, there is a character called Joker. Joker in Portuguese is not the Joker in English. English Joker means those who crack jokes and make people laugh, but in Portuguese Joker means something like moderator, facilitator, isn't it?
Yes, extendable.
Yeah. So that Joker, when we see the Joker, Joker has to be impartial. Joker has to empty himself or herself. Joker cannot appear in front of the spectators with his idea, with his perception in mind. He, in no point, he should impose his perception and ideas on the people. So the participation is larger. It's truly participation. Because nowadays, participation is the word very largely used by many agencies. And there I see participation is, we cannot call it a real participation. If NGO, for example, wants people to say what they want to say through their project, it is not a participation to me. If you want him to say what you want to say, it's not a participation. And also, when the system, the agencies, the state, government, World Bank, UN, things like that, when they implement, they construct a policy, they impose that policy on the people and say you participate. What is this participation? That means we are implementing your policies. Implementing your policies is not really participation. But this word participation is very largely used, but true participation is something different where people will feel free to articulate their thoughts without any fear. So that means we should not go to solve the problem. Very often the propaganda theatre shows you the solution. They are like doctors, social doctors. They will tell you this is the way, that is the way, as if they know the problems better than the sufferer who are watching the play. They know everything. It's like this. So, in that case, if you want to go to solve the problem, that means you are partly propagandist. It is not a participatory theatre. Somewhere or other, when people will contradict your position through their intervention, then you would always try to take the audience to your line. So then again you are actually disturbing the participation. So true participation, first condition in order to make our theatre participatory, one thing, we are not going to solve the problem. Well, a lot of forum theatre operation, they make this mistake. And I tell everyone, don't try to solve the problem. The age-old norm like patriarchy, for example, can you solve it in a forum theatre session or say multiple forum theatre sessions? It's not true. If you want to solve the problem, you are actually misleading the people. Sometimes it misleads the people. So then what do we want? We want critical thinking. We want people to think critically, not to solve the problem. So we go to develop critical thinking. Therefore, if you see, do I have to explain the forum theatre? Because you know all about the forum theatre, no? So, forum theatre is a theatre where, suppose she is my wife, and I am, suppose this is the situation, I am beating her. So then I would ask, this is what we call intervening point. In a play, there are many scenes, but this is the scene. There is a scene like this. So this, we will call it as intervening point. So when the play will be performed first, and then the second time, we can perform the intervening point again, right? So now, the joker, the facilitator, will ask the audience, listen, this is the problem. What do you think? What do you think? We are not going to give you any solution. Is this reality? They would say yes, if the play is properly scripted. So, how do you want to change the reality? If you don't act, will it be changed automatically? How do you think? So then, people, the spectator, they will become spectator, as my teacher says, Augusto Boal. So the spectator will come on stage, replace this protagonist, the oppressed character, and so if I were in her position, I would have done this. So the spectator will try to transform this oppressive situation into a human situation. Right? Did you get my point? Is it clear? So the spectator, they came to observe the play. Now they will become the actor. So this is spectator. The spectator will come on stage and replace the protagonist and show what does he want. Is that clear? So now, as an oppressor character, I am never wrong. I have to problematize the scene. If she comes and easily solves the problems, it makes no sense. So we prepare the oppressor character in a way. That is one of the very important things that I tell every forum theatre group, that you must train your oppressor in a very meticulous way. There are rehearsal techniques available through which you can train your oppressor. So then oppressor will do, if suppose someone comes in her position, I will also put forward my argument. She will argue against me, I will also argue with her. And I am never wrong, oppressor is never wrong. Oppressor has logic. He will or she will keep justifying his or her act logically. So naturally, the spectator will find another opportunity to argue. So this kind of problematization by the oppressor will bring an argument on the stage. The argument is the key word to me. Argument on the stage. If there is no argument on the stage, then the discussion will not go forward. If you want to take discussion forward, you have to allow the argument to happen on the stage. So this argument might raise some questions. The questions might evolve through this argument. So the joker would say, listen, this spectator, Pierre, came and replaced our protagonist, and there was an argument between oppressor and oppressed, and we see this question has emerged. This particular question has emerged in this interaction. So then you tell the audience that questions that emerge due to this interaction. Then the audience will address that same question. Again, someone will come and replace her. Then that might raise some questions. Someone might think, no, this is not the way, I have another way. So they will come on stage. So this is how the spectator, they will transform themselves into spectator. They will come on stage, replace the protagonist, and this is how the argument between actor and spectator, the debate and discussion between actor and spectator, it will take place. Is that clear? Is that clear? And in this argument, what do we want? The critical thinking. We are not solving the problems. So suppose there is a scene of a domestic violence here, like here, there is a domestic violence in this scene.